Hi everyone, and welcome to WorkPro's Training Academy. Today's session is about WorkPro's flagship product, Inductions and eLearning. My name is Tania Evans and I'm the CEO and founder of WorkPro and the person that will be spending about 20 to 25 minutes with you all today, just making sure that you're using the Inductions and eLearning functionality within the program to all of its advantages. So to get started, a little bit about the overview today. So I'm just going to take you through the learning library and an overview, very basic overview of the learning modules. I'm going to show you the candidate experience, just talk a little bit about the assessment and the validity period of modules, the importance of validating results, how that happens, and the compliance certificate, and then showing you filtering and WorkPro insights so that you can make sure that you remain compliant. Before I do that, some FAQs. I just want to cover off a couple of FAQs that we're often asked. So first of all, how many modules can you invite a learner to complete? The library, the WorkPro library is completely open to you. So at the moment we have 45 modules that are job and industry based. So I guess you selecting the modules that you're going to ask someone to do will be based on perhaps the risk they present to your organisation, the role that they're being placed into or being considered being placed into. And for those recruiters on the call, the most fundamental module is a combined module called module number 11, which I'll talk about in a moment. And then a practical module, the most closely aligned with the role that the person's being placed into. How long is each module, and does it include assessment? Yes, it does. Each module is anything between 30 minutes and 50 minutes, and most modules include assessment. There is a few exceptions to that. So the Fair Work Statement, the Casual Employment Information Statement, our Privacy Induction Module, and Officers' Due Diligence do not include assessment. They're more acknowledgement. Why doesn't the program automatically produce the compliance certificate? That is a question that is asked quite a lot. Yes, it would be logical for us to automatically produce that once the candidate has completed an e-learning module. However, our philosophy is that you should be able to get people job ready. People have applied for a role, you know the role they've applied for, you closely align the learning modules to that, but you may never place them. So they may have gone through the recruiting process with you. You might get to the part where you'd like them to deliver some safety induction or e-learning, and this is going to be particularly important for the staffing consultants amongst us today. And so we offer that completely free. So you can deliver as many modules as you need to as many people as you need, and you basically produce the compliance certificate as soon as you place that worker or as soon as you employ that worker. So hopefully that clears up that question. Modules do have an expiry date. In most cases, they are 2 years. And the reason for that is because we acknowledge that WorkPro and the delivery of a safety e-learning module is only one part of getting someone ready for work. So generally where WorkPro fits in is that you deliver a job or industry-based module that provides information about the inherent risks and hazards and all of that good information to that individual, and you spend time with that candidate and spending the most time with that individual on site in their role, providing information and training that is related very closely to the actual task that the person is being employed to do. So that's where you should spend your most effort. But our desire is to make sure that when you're delivering modules in e-learning and safety and compliance like WorkPro does, that we set a standard for certain roles in certain industries. After 24 months, I'll show you in a moment how you can send a new request to a candidate. And can you send extra modules to a learner at a later date? So you can imagine you've placed that worker, that's fantastic, they've started work. There might be some legislation, or there might be a change, or there might be a new module that WorkPro has built, and you'd like to deliver that to your workers, group of workers, one worker. You don't pay for an extra module at a later date. When you produce the compliance certificate, that is then that learner can do additional modules for the next 12 months with no additional fee. So there's our FAQs. Just a little bit about our roadmap for 2021. I just wanted to mention a couple of highlights. This is out to September, our current roadmap. SMS, which is due for release in mid to end of June. It currently includes candidates getting their username and password reminders via text, and we'll be extending that out so that you can send all of your requests via emails and also the reminders that remain outstanding. Vivo Pulse, for those amongst you that are using WorkPro for your citizenship and work rights, using our Vivo integration, we're about to introduce the option whereby you don't need to run a new check on a candidate. Our system will simply pulse the Vivo database and send you alerts to your dashboard if that work right status changes. And pre-employment medical and drug and alcohol testing, we are currently in project to deliver a seamless function, and that is due for release in September. All right, let's jump into WorkPro. All right, I'm straight into the dashboard, and the first thing I'm going to show you is about sending a request. So you've made a decision about the modules that are most suited to the roles in your organisation. In most cases, we find that clients will map and they'll document the roles that are being employed for, and then they will map the WorkPro modules to those roles. So it may be just one module that you're delivering or multiple modules that I've mentioned previously. So you can either create packages that most closely align with those inductions so that you don't have to keep choosing those 3 modules or those 2 modules every time you send a request. Once you've set up those packages, if that's what you choose to do, you can send a request to a single candidate or a bulk request to a whole bunch of candidates at once. So just choosing to select one candidate, you're entering their name, their email, their mobile. You're either selecting a package of tasks that you need to send to one or multiple candidates, or you're coming over here and you're choosing the induction module that most closely suits that person's role. So once you've done that, the induction will be populated over here and you can send your request. So now that you've sent your request, I just want to quickly show you the candidate experience in WorkPro. So you've sent your text message and or email, your candidates received that, they click on the link in that email and they are directed to either sign up or log in to the WorkPro platform. And they can do that on any device. So once they've signed up to WorkPro, they'll find themselves in this platform and welcomed to start their session by entering the single use token that has been provided to them in the invitation they receive. I'll just resume a session. Coming over here to induction and e-learning, and you can see that there's a whole list of induction modules that candidate's been invited to complete. You can see in some cases it's resumed because the candidate started their session already and they're just coming back in to finish it, or they're starting their session. So I just want to show you a couple of steps of our induction or e-learning modules. So you can see here, hospitality worker, I'm 11% through this particular module. I'm just going to show you a couple of steps. It's self-paced, the candidate just wanders their way through. These modules have been written by industry specialists and practitioners. In some cases, they are lawyers, but they're also edited by professional editors, or they're a practitioner in work health and safety. And WorkPro has a range of people that we work with to create our content and then remind us and refresh that content should injuries rise in a particular industry or role, as an example, or as legislation changes. So you can always be confident that you're receiving the most up-to-date and practical information available. All right, so I've meandered my way through a couple of steps now. I'm just going to exit the course. Once the person has read all of the content, they will receive an assessment. So that's 10 multiple choice questions and 10 true and false. Pass mark is 80% across all of our modules. If the person doesn't achieve 80%, they're asked another 10 random questions. The questions and the content are written to a Year 9 level. So we're not expecting this person to have a degree in in this content, we're expecting that they read and they understood the content that they've read or they've listened to. So once they've completed their assessment, you can see here, in this case, the score is 100%. I can also view my results. So if that score was less than 100%, I can have a look at the questions I got wrong. So it might be between 80 and 100%. And they can see the questions they got wrong. At the same time as you're being sent an alert from WorkPro, welcomed into your dashboard to view that information, view the assessment if you'd like, and also to produce that all-important compliance certificate. So that is the candidate experience. If the candidate request remains outstanding, the WorkPro platform will send them 3 text messages 3 days apart. All right, so that's that reminder that we have available for you, and that automatically happens. So once the candidate's completed their induction or their e-learning, that information will be stored against the candidate's profile in the induction and learning module within your dashboard. So there's a couple of little things I want to point out here, the icons. So in this case, a little green tick, this means that the candidate has completed this particular module and the verifications or the compliance certificate has been produced. All right. When we're talking about compliance certificates, I mentioned earlier the reasons that WorkPro doesn't automatically produce the compliance certificate on your behalf. All right, so when you see this hazard, this little icon here, means that you've delivered this module, this candidate has completed this particular module, but you haven't yet produced the compliance certificate. All right, if I scroll down, you can see there's some green ticks and there's some that are not verified. So the best way to manage this verification process, rather than having to click in to each of the candidate profiles, clicking on the filter over here, induction and e-learning, and I'm going to say, just show me those people who have completed what I asked them to complete, and I'm yet to produce the compliance certificate. And there we are. So there's all the people that are lined up here. Selecting actions, bulk induction verification. You can then choose all of them or choose some of them. These are the people that I've placed in a role, and these are the people that I need to produce a certificate for. So the whole point of the certificate is that it is date and time stamped. So should there be an incident, if there is an inspection, one of the things that the regulators or the inspector or auditor will do is ask you, what did you do to induct this worker? And this is your evidence that you will need, that you can produce. In this date, this time, Natalie Layton completed this module on our for our organisation, date and time stamped with your company name against it. So I can't stress to you how important it is to produce that compliance certificate and how simple and easy it is for you to do that. I'll just produce a certificate for this particular person. Clicking on inductions and e-learning. So you can do this candidate by candidate. And I'm just selecting verify that result. And that produces the compliance certificate. All right, so that's date and time stamped. You can see here the Fair Work statement has also been viewed. For those on the call that are new to WorkPro or are not aware of it, WorkPro automatically updates the Fair Work statement in our program at the end of June every year. And that means when you're sending an induction to a candidate, the first thing that will appear for that candidate in their experience is the latest Fair Work statement, which is then stored on this certificate. So you don't need to be delivering the Fair Work statement outside of the WorkPro environment if you use us for inductions and e-learning. You can download the certificate as a PDF. Equally, it can be stored in WorkPro for forevermore. So this is good compliance monitoring and management. The other thing I wanted to show you, of course, is you need to make sure that you deliver inductions every 2 years, or should that person's role change and you need to deliver a new induction module, that you have an easy opportunity to do that. So I'll use Jess Piper as my example. Clicking on inductions and e-learning, you can see that she's completed this module. That's awesome. these modules remain outstanding. So again, a really good visual for you. You may want to send Jessica a new request. So simply click New Request, Induction and eLearning, and you're either searching for a module that you need to send to Jessica, and you're sending her a new request. Right, it's as simple as that. She'll receive that text message and or email, and she'll just follow that same process, log back into WorkPro. The induction and eLearning will be shown in her dashboard. She completes that dashboard and the process starts all over again. So once if you have produced the compliance certificate for Jessica already, you've delivered her a new module, and now you need to produce a new certificate for her. Using the filtering function, you want to look for Re-Verify. And this little icon appears, and that's the icon to say you've actually already produced this compliance certificate once. You need to produce a new one. This person's completed an additional module. So just clicking on Andrew, Induction and eLearning, and you could do this in bulk as well, and verifying that new result. All right. By the way, if you have any questions, which I should have mentioned at the top, if you have any questions, please just pop them in the chat, and I'll be able to come back to those after my final piece, which is around insights and reporting. So let's just move on to insights. So insights is a visual way for you to manage your compliance. All right, so you can see here the coloured boxes at the top. So you've got compliance elements that are expiring in the next 60 to 90, 30 to 60, within 30 days, and you're in the red zone, these have expired. All right, so thinking about and looking at your e-learning, so you might have some e-learning that's expiring in the next 60 days, clicking here. And in this case, I don't have any inductions that are expiring. But if I did, actually, let me show you the background checks. In here, it will show you the candidate name and the module that's coming due for renewal. So for those that are on the call that have either already done this or thinking about it, WorkPro has the capacity, we've delivered our own module content and we own that. But at the same time, you can upload your own content and deliver your own custom content in WorkPro. You can have, you deliver it in the same manner as we deliver our modules. You can have your own assessment. You can put your own expiry date on it. So you might say, actually, for this particular policy, we need our candidates to refresh that learning every 6 months. So you can pop that expiry on there. That description will show your company name and the e-learning module or policy that needs to be re-delivered or refreshed with the expiry date. All right, you gather that up and then you send them a new request. All right, you can send them a new request, but just also keep in mind that the WorkPro platform is sending a candidate a reminder 90, 60, and 30 days out from any expiry from our platform. So they're already being reminded with a little instruction inside their reminders of exactly what to do, i.e., if this is an induction, they need to speak to you, let you know, yes, I've received this alert that this induction or this e-learning is due for renewal in the next whatever period of time. Do you need me to do a refresher training? And at the same time, you're receiving the reminders and you've got this visual dashboard and the filtering function inside WorkPro and reports that you can run so that you can manage that refresher in a really timely period that suits your business and your workforce. Outside of that, I think that really concludes today's webinar. If anyone's got any questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat now. Of course, this is not the only opportunity for you to ask any questions. If you have an account manager at WorkPro, please do reach out for any questions you might have about what I've just mentioned or with any other additional questions. Up here, under the little hamburger menu, there are video tutorials. There is also user guides. Recording of webinars are also here. If you're unsure about the modules that are going to be most suitable for your workforce, if you go to our website, you can actually download the entire library from our website, which has a little summary of each of the modules. If you are interested in uploading and delivering any custom content that you're thinking about, or you have some standard operating procedures or policies, I'm also happy to talk to you about that, so you can build out a really robust learning program for your workers. Outside of that, there's no questions, which is really quite unusual. Which is either I've done a really great job of it and everything's very clear, or you're not engaged, or you just don't have any questions, which is absolutely fine. I'm going to close off for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I know there is another session this afternoon on license ticket document management, and my colleagues are also running some sessions across the rest of the week. So if you're interested in those other sessions, please have a look at those webinars, book yourself in, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks, guys.